Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is Wrench Every Day, and next to me is my 2008 Dodge Charger. That has changed a little bit. This thing started off as a movie car project from the movie Need for Speed. We got a St. Augustine police car, melded those together, made a functioning cop car that I absolutely love driving. Then a tree fell on it and pretty much ruined it. With the help of my friends from Florida, Jack and Tavarish, they came up and surprised me with a 2.5-day build with a Smith kit car, a Smith Ute conversion. The back is now a pickup bed, and we're ready to haul things around and do truck things. Except it's not quite finished yet. We did manage in 2.5 days to get the bed structure in, everything cut apart, and the side panels mounted, but there's a lot of little finish work. They always say the last, 10%, 20% of the project takes 80% of the time. Well, now it's that detail bodywork time. The thing that would have been nice to have a body guy for, but he went back to Florida. So it's gonna be you and me. You guys are gonna be laughing at my misery, and we are going to work to get Roadblock done. And by done, I mean, well, done. It's gonna have its new paint finish on it. It's gonna have windows glued into it. It's gonna be a sealed up working vehicle that I am able to drive as much as I want to. So it's gonna be a lot of work. And we're gonna get started. But first, I wanna thank you guys for jumping on board and getting the Roadblock version 1.0, 2.0, 3, whatever version number, the really cool, technically legal shirt from our Bunker branding page. But remember, if you missed out on that discount code, you still wanna get it. It's only gonna be available until July 13th, then it's gone forever. I loved the shirt design. We wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to get it because the team did a great job designing it. So again, July 13th, then gone, just like the back half of Roadblock was. That's a really bad pun and segue, but let's just cut straight into a great music montage, time-lapse of all the sanding I'm gonna do, and it's just gonna wreck the shop, because that's what happens with body shop dust. It goes everywhere. Oh, there's gonna be so much cleaning when this thing's done. So we've been wrenching away on a Roadblock 2.03, some number version of Roadblock behind us, and I figured I'd get you guys caught up because there's just been a whole lot of time-lapse footage. So if you look, our sides are now kind of this matte gray. They're very dusty. I've gone over with a DA sander and just kind of knocked the initial layer of gel coat off and tried to kind of keep and re-sculpt some of the body lines. With these being blemish panels, they need a little bit of work. We also went through and I knocked down the heads of the rivets a little bit so we get a nice flat surface there, down there as well. We've got our vinyl bond securing to hold this into the little finish panel. Something else that we did, this is not a roll bar, so I want to make it very clear. I didn't build this to be a roll bar. If this was going to be one, I would use an inch and probably 3/4, 1.75, minimal 1.6250 pipe. I used 1.25 inch. I'm using this primarily as just a chassis brace to try to give us a whole lot of stiffness in that cab to just, you know, fortify everything. We cut a big chunk out of it, and while we gain a lot of strength in the Smith kit, I wanted more. So we used 1.25 inch DOM tubing, and I bent a nice little shape. We got it tucked up. I've got braces welded into the cut metal. I have got this little bar that kicks along with a panel that bolts directly into the box, and all of that has netted us almost no roof deflection without that roof section in. We have got this fitment down into the roll pan looking a lot better. I built a whole big, you know, chunk out of fiberglass. We have a piece of aluminum kind of holding that together, riveted fiberglass over, and got that looking how it's supposed to. We have our deck lid spoiler, our tailgate spoiler fitted, and it is currently bonding. I used the outrageously expensive plastics, carbon fiber, fiberglass metal, do-all panel bond. So that's curing up. Once that's done, I'll actually take these 3 screws out and we will just use some filler to clear this up, and then we've got it riveted, and once that's cured, I'll sand this, and this actually gets filled for just a smooth transition down. We've been doing a lot. I've got these 3 holes here welded in and just kind of rough sanded, ready for a little bit of filler to go over. That is where a Ford emblem would go. And well, this is a Dodge, and I don't know 100% what emblems, if I want to run emblems on it. I figured people just looking at it going, what the heck is that? It's kind of fun, you know, right? We've got this side fully scuffed down, ready to get wiped down. I have not done this, but as you can see, that piece fits pretty stinking good. Now, this is kind of normal from the pictures I saw. This is just something, once it's fully bonded in, you fill in with fiberglass filler, urethane. Again, it is your kit car. You have all the options of how you want to put it in, but I'm at the point where I'm going to go ahead and mix up some filler. We're going to cover up these rivets. We're going to cover up some roll pan work and just, you know, keep plucking away at bodywork, the thing that I don't claim to be good at and not the biggest fan of. My shop is covered in dust everywhere. All the dust mitigation I'm trying is failing, and it's everywhere. So let's get back to work, mix up a little bit of filler, and keep getting this thing closer to ready to drive. I'm kind of really looking forward to driving my Charger pickup truck, Ute. Because how many people can say they're going to take their pickup truck Charger out? Like, however many kits Mark has sold, I don't know. There can't be that many, right? This is the warning for the body guys, the mechanics, bodymen that have got lots of experience with body filler and can pretty much just sculpt a masterpiece in their first swipe, because this might be offensive to you. We've got our first round of fiber fill on. We've got rivets covered. We've got general shapes. We've got my hand gloves probably would be a good idea. Also, a small bit of advice, they tell you like mixing ratios in the size of a golf ball, because if you're dumb like me, it mix a whole lot. You can't get it on the car in time before it starts hardening. So the stuff is already pretty much cured, and we've hit the point that it is sandable. I'm going to try to get my hands clean a little bit, but we've got rivets covered. We're working on that roll pan blending back here, which I think that, in the first application looks pretty good. We've got our whole patch, weld cover there ready for sanding. Same thing on this side. We've got it kind of blended in. There are some little things like these holes. I'm torn if I want to hit them with the fiber fill or just normal lightweight body filler. I'll probably put a coat of fiber fill on it and just keep getting it ready while we wait for that other panel to come in. At some point I need to drill the holes and actually get our taillights mounted and wired and the tag light, but I figured let's just work through some body work, the thing that I am not qualified to do, but we're going to do it. Well, we were making progress with the DA, getting the filler kind of cut back out and confirming our sculpting. There's just a couple little peak holes from the rivets, which I'm not terribly surprised with, and I need to build up a little bit more around here to try to get the shape correct. But something very sad happened. It's sitting over here as I was trying to figure out taking it apart. My trusty, super old DA has kicked the bucket. I love this thing just because it was made by a company from Rockford, Illinois. I grew up in Rockford, Illinois, and I've done a lot of projects, from Supras, high-end cars, GTR carbon roofs, to the entire Jeep CJ5 restoration that I did with editor Dwayne on his dad's Jeep, where we cut it all the way down, did tons of sheet metal work, and rebuilt it. So it's kind of sad. It's a tool. I can probably get it rebuilt, or try to find some parts for it, but it's been locking up, and now it's fully shot. I don't know, some of you guys may understand that you have that reliable tool, you've just had that tool in your box forever, you've done a lot of things with it, and then it finally goes off, I don't know, the snap-on tool, heaven place in the sky. Anyway, tool's broken, means I'm done for the day. There's no more progress that we can make, so we'll stop by our good old Harbor Freight in the morning, pick up a new DA from them, and start ripping through. So we'll get all that buffed down, we can get that cleaned and prepped for filler, and hopefully get an update on when that panel shows up, because then we get that all together and put primer on it. Yay, body work. Fairly decent with a paint can, and it may just be that I went with an enamel paint that wasn't the style I normally use. It was a Rust-Oleum paint, it's a good paint, but we ended up with more runs than you would have if you fly down to Mexico and drink 4 gallons of tap water first thing. Not my finest work in here, but the good news is, oh no, you definitely can see it on camera. Yeah, I don't know,
But we've got that painted black, and it's glossy, all for a piece of carpet to go over it. I just kind of wanted to get it a little bit dulled down in there. But sitting here on the table, we got ourselves a new dual action air sander. So we got the Baxter brand. I guess that's the new best from Harbor Freight. They're good, better, best. I think that's their top line. I'm not sure. It's a newer one. So we're going to get a whole lot more dust going again. We got that much sanded. We've got all of that to do. The whole other side, our seam sealer or body adhesive cured overnight, so we can get that sanded and blended in. And we'll try not to mix way too much body filler today so we don't waste a bunch of it. Remember, they say they're references in golf ball size for a reason. Let's get back to work. All right, Captain's log, or Jared's log, sometime in the afternoon. I've been sanding for hours and hours. Body guys, hats off to you. I'm covered in dust. The whole shop is dust. But we're getting there. So I think we're pretty close with the fiberglass heavy fill. I'm happy with all of these spots. This rocker, that is good. Gonna have to work a little bit more here. I'm happy with our roll pan. We've got good progress on it, where it feels pretty well blended. We've got a fair bit more on the tailgate on filling and blending this in. I've got kind of the first round. I'm gonna have to really clean this well because there are these small holes. It's real good to hold dust, and it may cause some adhesion problems, but we're getting this blended in on the flip side. That is a real nice, good, smooth line, and we are going to raptor line, bed line the bed. So this will get covered with that right up to this point. And that's starting to look really good. One more coat, I think, hopefully. Oh. But coming around to here, we've got this side pretty much sanded out. So we're down to the tailgate, and then once we get the other part in, all of that sanding. Kind of feel like any moment here, you know, we're just going to start seeing Car Wizard pop up around here and just be like,
sanding 1,000 hours.
And then
another 1,000 hours of sanding.
It's a lot of sanding, guys, and a lot of dust. I don't know if I'll ever get it all out of the shop. So we can time lapse me sanding a lot more, or maybe I'll just snap, and I can't even. There we go. I can kind of snap. Dust is flying everywhere. And we'll have the sanding done and move on to something more exciting. check her out. We've got the tailgate up. We've got taillights in. I still need to wire them. My new taillights that I got, my new used ones, that one got dropped and broke, and this one I accidentally closed the tailgate on and cracked. We're starting to see a little bit more of some of the, mismatched panels that aren't absolutely perfect. This kind of gets bulgy, where this sits a little bit flusher, and there's not a ton we can do on that, just because, again, we knew getting these parts that they were blemish and not perfect, and we fought them, and that's kind of where some of the things are a little bit off there. I was able to kind of fit and get this gap pretty good. This one is a little bit off. I may be able to tighten that up a little bit by bringing in the tailgate. I have to remind myself, Roadblock has never been meant, ever, even in the original versions, to be this pristine, perfect car. It's just kind of meant to be this cool, rough around the edges vehicle that we can take around and do whatever we want with it. And now that he's got a truck bed, well, he's going to be doing truck things. So, you know what? I'm okay with our cosmetic blemishes. Nothing at all to do with the fact that I'm sick and tired of sanding. A little bit to do with the fact I'm sick and tired of sanding. But tomorrow we are going to get taillights wired up. Hopefully we get that replacement panel in and we can get the whole thing finished, and we can maybe actually look at spraying some primer on it. Got a little bit of hand sanding to do to finish that little section up. Don't worry, that will not get painted. But yeah, for not being a body guy, I give myself a D+. Yeah. Excuse me, sorry about that. First, we've got just a first coat of etching primer on our tailgate. It isn't perfect, but it's perfect for what we need. I'm pretty pleased with it. Again, not a body guy. I feel like my blend line into the fiberglass came out pretty well. And that's respectable. And then here in the bed, we've got things cleared out, and we are getting ready to actually fit the floors. A lot of you were asking two questions. It came up a ton. I made a comment, and you still asked it. How do you service the battery, and how do you change rear shocks? One, this center section of the floor is removable. It's going to be bolted down and have a seal around it. So anytime you need to get back there, it's pop some bolts and you get to it. Something I might try to engineer later is this rear section hinged to where I just pop it and I have kind of like a Honda Ridgeline trunk, easy to get to. Right now, I want to make it work, and spending 2 days engineering that system isn't good use of time. I ran out and picked up one extra piece of aluminum to act as a kind of center brace where we're going to have the seam of the two sections. And then I pulled out my Vulcan ProTig 205, and I'm pretty happy with it. All I have done is basically turn voltages and say I'm doing AC TIG welding. I have not played with the settings at all to get this better, and I am not going to claim to be the best aluminum welder, but that came out really well. So that's just adding in a little extra joining. I riveted my piece, welded it there, and then I welded a little seam there. This is stuff you don't have to do. It's things I want to do. Now the other, well actually there were three questions, so we're down with one. The other one is, how do you change these rear shocks? Well, you can't really see it super well, but if you look right there and right there, that's how you unbolt the shocks. The bolts come up from the bottom, so them being concealed here doesn't change anything. You can still change them just like you would factory. And the last thing is our fuel pumps. And if you look, when you remove the front section of the floor, you have a little access panel to kind of get down into them. Probably get that out before I forget it. So you're able to get down into them and still service them just like stock. Well, almost like stock, except you're going through a truck bed floor. Ute bed floor, Charger bed floor, your floor. So that's where we're at right now. Next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the floor panels back in, measure them out, drill all my pilot holes, and then we're gonna use nut certs so we can bolt the floor pan down. So back to our trusty time lapse. We are going to do a lot of drilling, a lot of bolting, and keep on going. I wanna drive this thing, but we still have a little bit of body work, a replacement panel to get, and some color to apply. I wish I had a body guy right now. Jack, you don't have to do any fiberglass. I promise. Please, Jack?
I'm not gonna do that.
Yes, you are. All right, we've got more bed progress made. Now, if you notice, there's a bunch of little spiky things. Some of you are going to be familiar with what that tool is called. Some of you have never seen something like this before. They're called clecos, klecos, temporary rivets. They've got a couple different names, but they work amazing. So we aren't going to be riveting this panel down, but we did need to drill a bunch of pilot holes to get ready for the nut certs. So what I can do is once we make the first hole, I insert one of these. When you push down with this tool, those teeth come out and expand, and then when you release, it binds and holds the panel tight. So you're able to go around and get all of your holes drilled without it moving around and wiggling or putting it down, then doing a nut cert. So this was allowing me to go ahead and just bang out everything, get it all in place. Now we'll be able to pull them up, drill all the holes out larger, both in the sheets that go down as well as the holes for the nut certs, and do all of the nut certs. Look at that sunset. Although the camera is not capturing it at all. It's really pretty. And yes, it's sunset. Yeah, that's how the days have been. Wait for parts, work, run and get supplies, and do it all over again, and sand a little bit. Everything is glued and drying right now. It's kind of ugly. That's okay. There's some tolerances that you then come back and fill and smooth out. But we have a fitted B-pillar with a pretty decent door gap. It is connected to our roof piece. It's connected down to the lower. This all gets filled in. I looked at a bunch of pictures, and that's just how they end up fitting. So again, the trick for all of this to work was this piece going in that extra inch. Apparently Jack just comes up short when it comes to getting it an inch further in. But that's okay. We did a whole lot in a couple days, and neither of us have ever put one of these together. So we are all fitted up. We are drying on both sides, and this actually gives me a little bit of a break because I could continue sanding and scuffing everything else on the car to get it ready for the paint work. I've got to break down the doors. I need to pull the bumpers. But I'm tired. I'm sweaty. It's hot. And I'm going to use the seam sealer. I'm sorry, panel bond. We're not seam sealing. That's panel bond. My brain's fried. It's been a long day. Many days. The video really should be in Dwayne's hands to edit right now. And I really like Roadblock. It's too cool to cut corners. So we're going to pick up in the morning where we are going to sand another 1,000 hours.
Another 1,000 hours of sanding.
Big surprise, where we're going to get these things fitted in with a little bit of kitty hair and filler, sanded down, and then scuff the whole car. And maybe we're going to have some 2K primer on it soon. I really hope so. I want milestones. We're getting close. It's just the perfect time right now to have a body guy, and he's down in Florida. It is a new day, and our body panel bond sealed up perfect last night, and I just got right into work, and you'll never guess what I was doing. I was sanding. Car Wizard, that's your cue.
Sanding 1,000 hours.
And we went ahead and got everything buffed down. We've got the roof paint taken off. Let me walk you over there. And we've got a very ugly coat of what's called kitty hair filler. It's a lot thicker, heavy fiberglass strand. It's going to kind of fill in all of our voids really well. So we're making some good progress with that. We've got to let that harden up, and hopefully we've got everything where it needs to, and we don't have to do too many coats of that, because that means more sanding, of course. But the roof is back down to the factory white with a couple other spots showing through. Next up on the agenda while this is finishing and curing is we are going to get these doors broken down. I need to unfortunately get our highway patrol vinyls off to get them ready for the vinyl, strip the mirrors, and get everything good there. And then we move to the front end, push bar, bumper off, hood off, get everything scuffed and ready to go and sanded, so we can, fingers crossed, get the 2K primer on the car. Guys, we missed the sunset today. Holy moly. I don't know if you can tell. It looks like I've been swimming. It's a little warm. It's a little humid. and I wanted to have it in primer today. We had a lot of just little fiddly things that kept us from doing it, so I went ahead and got it taped. It is taped. Plastic just needs to be stretched and taped to the ground, and we're gonna get primer in the morning and then color tomorrow. I hope. It's worth it. That's what I'm telling myself. You guys will agree. I love this car. All right, guys, it is the next morning. We've been here, well, I've been here for past 2.5 hours. Got up kind of early before the sunrise, and we've gotten quite busy to the point that we've actually got paint primer supplies kind of getting out and set up. We've gone through and wiped down the car with Prep-All and lint-free towels. You need to spend a lot of time on that. Wipe until they come back clean. If there's anything left on that surface, it's not gonna let your paint, your primer, whatever coatings adhere to the paint, or the car. So just take a lot of time in that last step. We're not in a booth. We're kind of doing this the little bit of a redneck way. Something we'll do here in a second is I'll pull out and kind of spread that skirt around. I've got some fans moving to try to help push all that air out. But I believe we are ready to get some high build on the whole car. And once we get the whole car high build, and I feel like I finally have a small win. So let's mix some stuff up and get spraying. That GoPro caught a little bit before it decided to die. Freshly charged battery gave us a couple minutes, but we are in full primer everywhere, and I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys in the comments can tell me. Why are flies and other bugs immediately attracted to paint and primer and just everything else? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We had some sweat issues, but you're better not to wipe it off. Just let it dry, sand, and reapply if needed. This goes on really thick because guess what? There's more sanding involved. You've got to block this a little bit smooth and get it ready for the new coating. But I am pretty happy with how everything came out. Like, most of the mode lines are good. There's a few small pinholes, but I can live with that with how we are going to do the final finish on Roadblock here. So, it feels pretty good to walk around and see it basically one universal color. That's been so much work. So much work, but it is worth it because we're making progress. I'm very excited. Video's gonna have to be late. That's just, I told you guys we're driving Roadblock in the next video, and we're driving Roadblock. I mean, I could have just drove it, but no, we're gonna get it done and drive it right. All right, so it is the next morning from when we got primer shot onto Roadblock here. And why is it the next day? You need to let your primer, your paints, everything cure for a different period of time depending on finishes, type of material, if it's going to be baked in an oven, which obviously we don't have a paint booth, so we need to give it the most amount of time to cure. There's gases and chemicals in the paint that basically need to dissolve and breathe off. So today is the day we are going to get color on Roadblock, so then we can let it sit one more day and then assemble them and get them ready to drive. I'm really, really, really excited. But before we do that, we have to do one more step. Any guesses what it might be? It's been a reoccurring theme all episode.
Another 1,000 hours of sanding.
You're right. We need to go ahead and do a quick sand job on the primer, get it coarse a little bit so that way we have something for the new paint to bite into. It knocks off any little minor surface imperfections. Then we wipe it all down with Prep-All, and then we put color. Now, this is where we're going to part ways a little bit. I'm going to get Roadblock done. I'm going to get all of the color on him, and I'm going to get him looking fantastic. You've seen a lot of sanding, you've seen primer. I know some of you would love to see the painting process, but I want you guys to just be able to jump right ahead. You know, instead of having to eat your Brussels sprouts first, you're jumping straight into your chocolate lava cake. So, your next scene is going to be Roadblock 3.0, 2.0, Fetty Say. He's going to be all back together, so you don't have to watch all the little tedious things, and I'm excited for you guys to see him. So, here you go. So we're driving our Utes. I didn't do a good job with the rear window, it appears. There's a little bit of water that comes through. There is honestly a little bit of road noise, but I have none of the interior back in it yet. Because we need to take it all back apart, at least on the interior side of things. We've got some really cool stuff coming, but we're driving our Ute. I'm excited. Well, this has been an epic kind of thrash to a finish line. The car's not 100%. There's still a few cosmetic exterior things to do, and we've got an interior to go on it, but there's another phase of Project Roadblock, and I'm also a big fan of, you got David Freiberger, you got Derek Bieri, Bioscript Garage. Don't get your projects perfect, just get them driving. Get out there and enjoy them, because otherwise it's very easy to kind of start falling out of love with a project. When you are just 2.5 weeks into bodywork, 12 hours a day, you kind of forget what it's like. I stopped to fill up with gas, and someone right away was like, is that a Smith kit? And just really excited to see the car. I'm excited to be driving it. And man, it seems like a good spot to wrap it up. So I'm Jared, reminding you to And there you have an assembled Roadblock Ute. Some of you said we should change his name. Some of you like the idea of Fedise. That's just on the gas door. I don't think we're going to change the name to that. There's some really exciting names that you will actually get to come up with, but it's not going to be on Wrench Every Day. The next stage of Roadblock involves him taking a trip over to the Tavarish channel, where we're going to do some more really exciting things that I can't wait for. There's just... The tree falling has created this cascade of amazing events, from building a Charger Ute with Smith Kit Cars sending us that kit, getting him to look absolutely insane, upgraded, improved, and tough with that Raptor line finish. I love the car. It is so much fun to drive. It is fun watching the reactions of people trying to figure out what the heck is following them. Editor Dwayne on some of the driving shots knew I was following him and still had those heart jump moments when suddenly you see a Dodge Charger with push bar behind it. So appreciate you guys being patient as this episode took longer to get done. It was 2.5 weeks of wrenching every day, 12-hour days. We are driving. I am so excited. But yeah, this is finally the wrap on the episode. Appreciate you guys, as always, hanging out and watching us make insane transformations to a total Dodge Charger. I'm Jared, reminding you to always make questionable choices. And I'm also a big fan of, you got David Freiberger, you got Derek Bieri, Vice Grip Garage. Don't get your projects perfect, just get them driving. Get out there and enjoy them.